Jace was not afraid of alien planets. He had seen deserts with flying snakes, icy moons with electric storms, and oceans where the water whispered. But the forest of Arath was different. It was too quiet, too still, like the trees were listening. He walked deeper into the green jungle, his boots sinking into soft, glowing moss. Tall black trees stretched up to the sky, their leaves shining in different colors. The air smelled like metal and flowers. He held his scanner close, tracking an ancient energy signal he had picked up from orbit. Locals in the nearby village had warned him, "Do not enter the forest," they said. "There is something living there." Something cursed, but Jace was curious. He always had a rule. If someone told him not to go somewhere, that's exactly where he would go after a few hours of walking. He stopped near a small stream and set up a small camp. His drone floated overhead, scanning for life. Suddenly, he heard a sound: soft footsteps. Light as a feather, he turned around slowly, hand near his pulse gun. And there she was, a girl standing between two trees. Watching him, she looked young, maybe his age. But her skin was pale silver, and her long dark hair moved like smoke. Her eyes glowed purple in the shadows. She wore a long black cloak, and around her neck was a stone that pulsed with strange light. "You shouldn't be here," she said, with a small smile. Jace lowered his weapon, surprised. "I'm just exploring," he said. "Didn't mean to disturb anyone." The girl stepped closer, her smile never changing. "I live here," she said, "and I protect this place." "From what?" Jace asked. "From people like you," she said, voice still calm. "One word from me, and my monster will tear you apart." Jace blinked, then chuckled. "That's not a very friendly welcome," he said. She tilted her head, her eyes unblinking. "It's not a friendly forest." Suddenly, Jace felt it. A low growl, deep and cold. Coming from behind the trees, he turned his head slowly and saw it to giant glowing eyes in the darkness. They didn't blink, just stared at him. The air got heavier, thicker, like it didn't want him to breathe. The girl raised her hand, and the growl stopped. The eyes vanished, melting into the black trees. What was that?" Jace asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "My protector," she said. My monster." Jace looked at her, really looked. There was no fear in her, no panic, just that strange, calm smile. She had total control. "You're not joking," he said. "No," she replied. "I never joke about death." Jace thought for a moment, then slowly sat back down near the stream. "Well, if I'm going to die, I'd rather do it sitting," he said with a grin. The girl stared at him, confused. "Why aren't you running?" "Because I think you don't want to hurt me," Jace said. "If you did, I'd already be gone." Silence. The girl looked at him for a long moment. Then she walked forward and sat across from him, her cloak folding like smoke. "My name is Kyra," she said. "Jace," he replied. "Explorer, mapmaker, sometimes idiot." A small laugh escaped her lips. It was soft, like a hidden bird singing. "I haven't spoken to anyone in years," Kyra said. Looking at the stream, "They all run." "Maybe they should stop running," Jace said. "Maybe they should ask why you're really here." Kyra looked at him, her smile fading. "I'm here because I lost control once," she whispered, "and I can't forgive myself." The forest seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind paused. Jace didn't say anything. He just nodded, understanding more than he wanted to admit. He had seen things in his travels, people broken by fear, by guilt, by power they didn't ask for. "I'm not afraid of monsters," Jace said finally. "But I am curious about them." Kyra looked at him, her purple eyes glowing brighter. "For your sake, I hope that doesn't get you killed," she said. "Same here," Jace said, smiling. "But hey, at least the company's nice." Far away, in the dark parts of the forest, the monster watched. Its heart beat as one with Kyra's. and for the first time in years, it did not hunger. The sun was almost gone, leaving the forest in a soft purple light. Jace sat near the stream, his hands warming over a small fire. Kyra sat across from him. Quiet, her eyes watching the flames. There was a strange peace between them, but the air still felt heavy, like something huge was hiding just behind the trees. "Why did you come here? Really?" Kyra asked, her voice calm but sharp. Jace poked the fire with a stick, thinking, "Because I followed an energy signal," he said. "Something powerful, ancient, hidden." He looked up at her. "And now I think it was you, Kyra, didn't respond right away." She stood up slowly and walked toward the trees. "Come," she said. Without looking back, Jace stood, grabbing his scanner and walking after her. They passed glowing plants, strange vines, and silent trees with faces in their bark. He didn't ask where she was leading him. He just followed. Finally, she stopped near a wide stone circle hidden in the roots of a massive tree in the center. Of the circle was a stone chair, broken in half. Beside it, claw marks deep, wild, angry. "This is where it happened," Kyra said, her voice barely a whisper. Jace looked around, feeling the weight of the place. "What happened?" He asked. Kyra knelt by the claw marks and ran her fingers over them. "I lost control," she said, "a long time ago, before I understood the bond." Jace listened carefully, saying nothing. She continued, her voice far away. "There were soldiers, hunters, people from the village. They came here, thinking they could take the crystal around my neck. It's not just decoration," she said, lifting it slightly. "It's a bond stone." Jace watched as the light inside the stone pulsed slowly. "It connects me to the creature." "The one you saw," Kyra said. "It was created by emotion, shaped by fear, anger, pain. You created it." Jace asked, shocked. "Not on purpose," Kyra said. "I was just a child when the soldiers attacked. I was afraid, and the crystal responded. The beast came, wild and angry. And it protected me, but it didn't stop." She added, her voice trembling, "It destroyed them all." Jace sat down slowly on a nearby rock. He didn't know what to say. Kyra looked at him. Her eyes filled with guilt. "They blamed me," she said. "Called me a danger, a monster too. So I ran." Silence again. The forest was listening. "You've lived here ever since?" Jace asked gently. Kyra nodded. "The bond grew stronger," she said. "Now the beast comes when I feel threatened, and sometimes, even when I don't want it to." Jace looked at the claw marks again, imagining the panic, the fear, the screams, but he didn't feel fear. He felt sadness. This girl, this calm and mysterious girl, had been hiding her pain for so long. "I think you're stronger than you think," Jace said softly. "You haven't lost control in years. You're still here, still trying to do the right thing." Kyra smiled for a moment, then turned away. "Maybe," she said, "but the beast is always watching." Suddenly, a loud snapping sound echoed through the forest. Branches cracked and birds flew into the air. Jace grabbed his scanner. Kyra's eyes flashed with alarm. "It's coming," she whispered. From the darkness between the trees, the shape appeared. It was larger than Jace remembered, with armor-like skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Its eyes glowed bright orange, and its breath shook the leaves. But it didn't attack. It stood beside Kyra like a silent guard. Jace stepped back. Slowly, the beast watched him, but didn't move. "Does it understand you?" he asked, amazed. Kyra nodded slowly. "It feels what I feel," she said. "If I trust you, it does too." Jace looked into the glowing eyes of the creature. For the first time, he felt like it wasn't a monster. It was something else. Something old, powerful, and deeply connected. "Can you talk to it?" he asked. Kyra placed a hand on the beast's shoulder. I don't use words, she said. We speak through emotion. I feel, and it acts. Jace stepped closer. Then teach. Me, he said. Teach me how to feel what you feel. Kyra looked surprised. You want to bond with it? No, Jace said, smiling. I want to bond with you. Kyra blinked, unsure how to respond. The beast lowered its head slowly, eyes still locked on Jace. And for the first time, it purred. The sound was low, warm, like a great machine sleeping. Kyra's lips curved into a small smile. Then we begin tomorrow, she said, and the forest. Once cold and silent, now felt a little warmer, like it had accepted one more soul. The morning light slipped through the high branches, painting golden lines across the forest floor. Jace sat cross-legged near the old stone circle, watching Kyra move slowly through a pattern of motions. Her eyes were closed, her hands glowing. Faintly with purple light, beside her, the beast stood completely still, as if it too were meditating. Jace had never seen something so powerful look so peaceful. He didn't move or speak, afraid to break the silent balance they shared. After a while, Kyra opened her eyes and looked at him. You're early, she said. I didn't sleep much, Jace replied. Too many questions in my head, Kyra. Gave a small nod, then gestured for him to walk with her. They left the stone circle behind and entered a deeper part of the forest. The trees grew closer here, and the light above dimmed. Strange plants blinked and shifted when they walked past. Where are we going? Jace asked. To the place I never wanted to return. She said, my home. Jace raised an eyebrow but didn't ask more. He followed, curious and cautious. Soon, they reached a broken gate, made of dark stone, half covered in moss, beyond. It stood the remains of an old alien village. Houses made from glowing crystal, now cracked and faded. This was your village? Jace asked quietly. Yes, Kyra said, stepping over the gate. This is where everything began. They walked through the empty streets, the silence thick with memories. Jace could almost hear the laughter of children and the sound of market stalls, but the village was dead now, and the buildings whispered only of loss. She stopped in front of a small round house with a shattered roof. This was my home, she said. Jace stepped inside with her. There were broken furniture pieces and a torn fabric on the floor. In the center was something strange and old, drawing on the wall. Burned around the edges, it showed a little girl holding a glowing stone. With a large shadow behind her, Jace touched it carefully. This is you, he said. And the monster, Kyra, nodded. They used to call me Starborn, she said. They believed I was chosen by the sky, a gift from the stars. But when the crystal bonded with me and the beast came, they changed. They feared you, Jace said. They hated me, she corrected. They called me cursed, a weapon. She walked to a small shelf and picked up a cracked toy. I was 8 when the soldiers came, she continued. They said I was dangerous, that I had to be controlled. Jace listened carefully, his heart heavy. They dragged my mother out first. Kyra said, her voice shaking. She tried to protect me. Jace placed a hand gently on her shoulder. What happened to her? He asked. She died, Kyra whispered. The beast came when I screamed, but it was too late. I couldn't save her. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the wind passing through the broken house. Jace finally said, you didn't summon the monster out of hate, Kyra. You called it because you were afraid. Any child would have. Kyra looked at him, her eyes softer now. I never wanted power, she said. I just wanted to feel safe. And now? Jace asked. She paused, thinking, now I want to understand it, she said. If I can't escape the beast, then maybe I can control it completely. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed outside the house. Kyra's eyes narrowed, and she stepped out quickly. Jace followed. Alert, in the center of the village stood 3 figures tall, armored, and holding strange rifles. They were not locals, not villagers. They were bounty hunters. One of them stepped forward, his helmet clicking as it opened to reveal a scarred face. "Kyra Avereth," he said. "You are a registered class of threat. You will come with us, or we will take you by force." Kyra didn't move, but the ground beneath her cracked. Slightly, the air grew heavier, and behind her, the beast emerged slowly from the shadows. It didn't roar or growl. It simply stood behind her, massive and still, eyes glowing like fire. Jace stepped beside Kyra, facing the hunters. "You don't understand what she's been through," he said. The lead hunter raised his weapon. "We're not here for sympathy," he said. "We're here for control." Kyra looked at Jace, her voice calm. "Remember what I told you," she said. "The beast responds to my emotions." "Then don't be afraid," Jace whispered. "I'm not," Kyra said, smiling softly. "I'm angry." And with that, the beast roared a sound that shook the trees and cracked the sky. The hunters fired their weapons, but the beast moved like lightning. The past had returned, but this time, Kyra was ready. The forest exploded with noise. Energy blasts lit the trees as the bounty hunters opened fire. Kyra didn't flinch. She stood tall in front of the beast, her eyes glowing like twin stars. Jace ducked behind a broken stone wall, pulling out his pistol. He had never fought bounty hunters before, but he had seen what they were capable of: merciless, greedy, and trained to hunt the rare and dangerous. The beast moved first. It charged with terrifying speed, its claws tearing into the ground. One hunter aimed a shock grenade, but the creature leaped over it with ease. In a flash, it smashed him in two. A tree, the armor cracking like glass. The second hunter tried to flank Kyra, but Jace fired quickly. The shot hit the man's leg, making him stumble. The beast didn't wait. It swung its massive tail, throwing the hunter far into the jungle. Only one remained, the leader, the one with the scarred face. He activated a shield and pulled out a high-frequency blaster. "Stand down," he shouted, pointing the weapon at Kyra, "or your monster dies." Kyra stepped forward, calm and focused. "He won't," she said softly. "Because you don't control him," the hunter snapped. "But I do," she replied. The hunter fired. A concentrated beam. It hit the beast in the chest. Pushing it back, the monster growled, a sound that shook the air. But it didn't fall. Instead, it opened its mouth and released a deep pulse of sound. The hunter screamed and dropped his weapon. The sonic wave hit his body like a hammer, knocking him to the ground before the beast could finish him. Kyra raised her hand. "Stop," she commanded. The beast froze, inches from crushing the man's chest. Its eyes looked at Kyra, waiting. "No more," she said, voice firm. The beast stepped back slowly, its breath heavy and slow. Jace ran over and stood beside her, his chest heaving from the fight. "You stopped it," he said, amazed. Kyra nodded, wiping sweat from her forehead. "I wasn't afraid this time," she said. "I was in control." Jace looked at the destroyed village around them. "This will bring more of them," he said. "More hunters, more threats." "I know," Kyra replied. "That's why we can't stay here anymore." She turned to the beast and placed her hand on its head. "I need you to follow me," she said softly. The beast let out a low hum, like it understood. Jace helped her gather supplies from the old house. They didn't have much time before someone came looking for the hunters. As they packed, Kyra found a small device and old communicator, broken but repairable. "What's that?" Jace asked. "Something I never had the courage to use," Kyra said. "But maybe now I do." They walked back to the edge of the village, the beast following silently, its massive feet shaking the ground with each step. Jace looked over his shoulder at the place they were leaving behind. "This was your prison," he said. Kyra looked back once, then forward, "And now it's just a memory," she said. They camped that night near a waterfall. The sound of rushing water helped hide them from sensors. Kyra sat beside the fire, working on the communicator. Jace watched her hands move quickly, repairing wires with precision. "You're good at that," he said. "My mother taught me." Kyra replied, her voice quiet, before everything changed. Jace didn't ask more. Some stories didn't need to be told in words. By morning, the device was working. Kyra held it in her hand, hesitating. "What are you thinking?" Jace asked, "If I send this signal, the Galactic Council will know I'm alive." She said, "They'll come, ask questions, maybe offer protection. Or they'll try to take the beast away," Jace added. Kira nodded. "I want them to. See, I'm not a threat anymore," she said. "But I also want them to understand him." She looked at the beast, who was drinking water from the stream like a giant animal. "They won't understand," Jace said. "Not unless they see it with their own eyes." "Then I'll show them," Kyra said. She sent the signal, a short message with coordinates and her name. Now, all they could do was wait. A few hours later, a reply came through, short and cold. "Contact confirmed. Team en route." Kyra folded the device and placed it back in her pack. "It's done," she said. Jace looked at her face. She didn't look afraid, she looked ready. "They'll test you," he said. "Then I'll pass," she replied. "And if they try to take him?" "Then I'll smile," Kyra said, "and remind them what one word can do, and far behind them." Deep in the jungle, something howled not in rage, but in warning. The war was over, but the challenge was just beginning. 3 days later, the sky above Vareth turned silver. A council ship hovered above the treetops, its massive shadow swallowing the jungle below. Kyra and Jace stood near a cliff's edge, watching the smooth, round vessel descend with quiet power. The beast stood behind them, still and calm, but its muscles were tense. "Ready? They're here," Kira said, clutching her crystal necklace. "Are you sure about this?" Jace asked. "No," she replied. "But I have to try." The ship landed with a soft thud, its lower ramp opening like a mouth. Out stepped 5 council agents in sleek dark armor, their faces hidden by glass visors. One walked ahead of them. Others, a tall woman with silver markings across her neck. "I am Envoy Tresca," she said, her voice echoing slightly from her speaker. "We received your signal." Kyra stepped forward, holding her hands open to show peace. "I asked you to come," she said. "I want to prove something." Tresca tilted her head slightly. "You disappeared years ago," she said. "You are a registered anomaly, tied to an unknown life form." "He's not unknown," Kyra said, glancing at the beast. "He's mine." The other agents reached for their scanners, pointing them at the creature. Data flashed across their visors. Energy levels spiked. Warnings lit up. Tresca narrowed her eyes. "This being is dangerous," she said. Jace stepped between them. "And so is fear," he said. But Kyra isn't asking to be judged. She's asking to be understood. Tresca raised her hand, and the others lowered their weapons. "Very well," she said. "Under council law, beings with dangerous bonds must undergo a control trial. You will face it at sunrise, in the observation dome." "What kind of trial?" Kyra asked. "You will stand in front of witnesses and summon your creature," Tresca said. "If you can control it fully, key, you walk free. And if not?" Jace asked. "Then it will be neutralized," she said, coldly. Kyra nodded once. Agreed. That night, they were taken to a floating station above the planet. The observation dome was large, with a clear ceiling that showed the stars. Hundreds of delegates, officers, and scientists filled the seating rings, murmuring quietly. Kyra stood in the center of the arena, alone. Jace watched from behind a security barrier, fists clenched. The floor lit up beneath her feet. A soft pulse of light scanning her body. A robotic voice echoed. Subject Kyra of Verath, bonded to. Entity X-73, beginning trial. A round platform rose beside her, and from a swirling mist. The beast appeared. It stepped into the arena, breathing slow and loud. Eyes scanning the crowd. Gasps filled the dome. A few people even backed away. Kyra raised her hands slowly, the crystal around her neck glowing brighter. The beast turned toward her. Then lowered its head. The crowd fell silent. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She remembered pain, fear, loneliness, but not now. Now she thought of peace, of Jace, of the moment by the waterfall when she smiled and felt no danger. The beast stepped closer, slow and steady. She opened her eyes and whispered, "Sit." The beast obeyed, folding its massive body into a calm position. The observers stared, stunned. Tresca leaned forward. Eyes narrowing, walk in a circle. Kyra said gently. The beast walked around her once. Then stopped without command. The dome lights dimmed as the data streamed across monitors. The bond was real, stable, controlled. Then, without warning, a soldier in the crowd panicked. He raised a blaster and fired a bolt straight at the beast. The crowd screamed, but the beast didn't move. The shot hit its chest, but it didn't respond. Instead, it turned its head and looked at Kyra. She stared back and nodded. "Do nothing," she said calmly, and it obeyed. The council sat in stunned silence. Even Tresca said nothing for a moment. Then stood. "You have passed," she said. "You and your creature are no longer considered a threat." Kyra lowered her hand and walked toward the exit. The beast following closely behind, Jace ran to her as the crowd parted. "You did it," he said. "I wasn't alone." She replied, smiling. Later, the council offered her a position advisor. Of emotional interfaces, a new role created just for her. She could teach others how to live with their powers, not fear them. Kyra looked at the stars from the ship window that night. Jace stood beside her. Silent, she turned to him and whispered, "I never thought peace would begin with a trial." He smiled. "Sometimes peace is earned through fire." And far below them, on the planet they left behind, the jungle rested for the first time in years. It too felt safe. Asterisk, the stars above the council ship blinked quietly. Kira stood inside her new quarters, looking out through the wide viewing glass. The beast sat nearby in a special chamber made for it, walls strong enough to contain it, but transparent. It watched her like always, silent, loyal, calm. Jace entered the room, holding a datapad. "They sent the full report," he said. "Council says the test results are final. You're officially not a threat anymore." Kyra turned, her face unreadable. "But they still want to keep him under observation," she said, glancing at the beast. "Standard protocol," Jace replied. "He's powerful, unknown, and bonded to your emotions. They fear what they don't control." Kyra walked toward the beast's chamber, pressing her hand against the glass. "It's not about control anymore," she said softly. "It's about choice." Jace tilted his head. "What do you mean?" She looked back at him, eyes glowing faintly. "Maybe it's time we ask the beast what it wants." For the first time, Jace saw uncertainty in her. She had commanded it, trusted it, even calmed it, but she had never asked it to decide that night. The council summoned Kyra and the beast to a private chamber. High-ranking members sat in a ring, their robes gleaming with gold threads. Envoy Tresca stood beside them, her face stern. "We have made a decision," Tresca said. "You will remain on this station for observation. You may continue your research, but the creature must stay here." Kira took a step forward. "With respect," she said, "he is not a creature. He is my companion." A murmuring passed through the council seats. One older member leaned forward. "Then let him prove it," he said. Let the beast choose to stay. Everyone turned to look at the chamber doors. Jace entered with the beast walking beside him. The room shook slightly with each step. But the beast looked calm. It stood next to Kyra and waited. She looked up at it and placed her hand on its chest. "You've followed me for years," she whispered, "through fear, through silence, through war. But this time, I won't ask you to follow. You choose." She stepped back, her hand slowly lowering. The room was completely silent. The beast looked at her, its glowing eyes flickering. Then it turned its massive head toward the council. For a long moment, it didn't move. Then it walked past Kyra, past the crowd, toward the main window of the chamber. There, it sat down and stared into space. The council members watched, confused. Tresca stepped forward. "What does that mean?" she asked. Kyra smiled. "It means he chooses peace." The council debated for hours, but in the end, they agreed. The beast would remain on the station, but not as a prisoner. It would live freely under Kyra's guidance. Later, in the observation deck, Jace and Kyra sat together. "You changed everything," Jace said. "I just stopped being afraid," Kyra replied, and trusted him. She looked out the window, her eyes reflecting the stars. "For so long, I thought I was cursed," she said. "But maybe I was chosen." Jace leaned closer. "What will you do now?" Kyra stood up slowly, her cloak swaying behind her. "I want to help others like me," she said. "People with strange powers, broken emotions, lost connections. People who need to learn they're not alone." "And what about him?" Jace asked, pointing to the beast who now rested quietly. "He'll come when I call," Kyra said, "but only if he wants to. I won't command him anymore." They watched the stars for a long time. No alarms, no weapons, no fear, just to people and a creature born from emotion sitting in peace. The next day, Kyra gave her first speech to the Council's Research and Harmony Department. She spoke simply, clearly, with the beast watching from above. She told them about fear, about pain, and about choice. And for the first time in Council history, a bonded creature stood beside its human and chose silence over power. When she finished, the room gave her a standing ovation. Not because she was strong, but because she was honest. Outside the station, a ship waited for her next mission. New worlds, new beings, new dangers, but now she wasn't afraid. Kyra turned to the beast before leaving the chamber. "If you're ready," she said. The beast stood and followed. Not because it had to, but because it wanted to. And so the girl and her monster walked forward together, not as master and servant, but as equals, as partners, as a choice. The stars shimmered above a small frontier world called Rallos 9. It was a peaceful mining colony, quiet and forgotten by most of the galaxy. But today, fear filled its skies. A rogue warship had entered orbit, firing warning blasts across the upper atmosphere. The people of Rallos 9 had no army, no defenses, and no time. Panic spread through the colony. Alarms rang, families ran underground. The governor sent a distress signal to the Galactic Council, and for once, the council answered quickly. But they did not send warships or soldiers. They sent Kyra. She arrived in a sleek diplomatic vessel, alone except for one silent companion, as her ship landed in the dusty main square. The crowd stared with wide eyes. She stepped out calmly, dressed in black with the glowing crystal on her chest. Behind her, the beast followed, towering and quiet. "Where are the others?" the governor asked, breathless and afraid. "Where's your team?" "You don't need an army," Kyra said softly. "You need a message." The rogue warship above received a direct hail. The pirates on board laughed when they saw only a girl. On the surface, they activated their descent engines, preparing to land and take what they wanted. Jace stood beside Kyra on the colony steps, scanning the ship's movement. "They're coming," he said. "I know," she replied. without blinking. A shadow grew over the ground as the pirate ship hovered above, engines rumbling. Kyra took one step forward, the beast followed, every footstep sending small vibrations into the ground. When the ship finally landed, its ramp slammed open. Dozens of armored raiders marched out, led by a tall brute with red eyes and gold teeth. "This is your defense?" He laughed. "A girl and a pet." Kyra didn't speak. She just smiled. The same smile she had given Jace the first time they met. The same smile she had worn when the council tested her. Calm, confident, and full of warning, the leader stepped forward, raising a heavy weapon. "Last chance," he barked. "Stand down or we level this place." Kyra whispered one word, not a command, but a feeling, not spoken loudly, but felt deeply, and the beast moved. It leaped faster than any pirate could react. Weapons fired wildly, but none hit their mark. The beast crashed into the raiders like a storm, claws flashing, teeth snapping, but it didn't kill. It struck weapons from hands, crushed armor, and roared into their ears until they dropped in terror. Kyra stood in place the whole time. Never raising her hand, the beast fought with precision, guided not by rage, but by her steady heart. Within minutes, the battle was over. Pirates lay scattered, groaning, afraid, defeated. The leader tried to crawl away, but the beast stopped him with a growl. Kyra walked over, knelt beside him, and looked into his eyes. "I warned you," she said gently, with a smile. The governor and the people came out slowly. Amazed, there were no dead, no bloodshed, only silence and awe. Later, the council declared Rallis 9 a protected world, not because of politics or resources, but because one girl reminded the galaxy what real strength looked like. Not in destruction, but in control. Jace and Kyra stood on the colony's hill that evening, watching the sunset paint the sky. "You didn't even give an order," Jace said. Smiling, "I didn't need to," Kyra replied. He knew. They sat down, the beast lying beside them like a gentle mountain. "I think the galaxy is changing," Jace said. "I think we're helping it change," Kyra said. The governor approached with a group of children. One small boy walked up to the beast and touched its paw. The beast looked down, then lowered its head, letting the boy climb onto it. Laughter echoed. The people no longer feared the monster. They saw it as a guardian, a protector, a legend. Kyra watched, her heart warm. "So many years I thought I was a danger," she whispered, "but I was becoming a bridge, a bridge." Jace asked, "Between fear and understanding," she said, "between power and peace." He nodded slowly. "And between monsters and people." Kyra smiled again, the same quiet smile that started everything. The one that held a warning, a promise, and hope all at once in the records of the galaxy. Historians would later write about that day, not as a war, but as a turning point. A day when a beast could have destroyed, but instead protected, and they would give it a name, the smile that saved the world.